Hey, what's up guys, it's Miss Mix Sassy Pants. Welcome to Let's Play Dead Frontier Outbreak. Now, I've been looking for some horror games to play, and I tried a few today, but they just stopped working on my computer, or I couldn't figure them out, or in one of them I messed up the recording because I forgot to turn on my microphone. Like a genius. But yeah. This got some good reviews on the website I look at, so why not give it a try?
Started as a normal day, just like any other. I took a shower and grabbed a quick cup of coffee before heading out of the front
Coffee's
door
good.
and waving goodbye to my loving wife. I jumped on board the bus, sat down, turned on my MP3 player, and promptly entered my usual daydream state. I finally arrived at my office building, headed up the 10th floor, and sat down at my desk to see a huge pile of paperwork. I sighed and got started.
Alright, next.
The scream coming from down the hall broke my concentration.
Oh, I considered going to see what it was, but the thought passed quickly. Probably just another hysterical secretary overreacting to a spider. Just as I started getting back to work, something else grabbed my attention. I peered out of the window into the street below, and to my astonishment I saw a scene of utter chaos. People fighting, even killing each other for seemingly no reason. By this time, some of my coworkers had gotten up from their desks and joined me in starting out of the window. Turn on the radio, build my cell phone, go down the hall, look at the TV in the common room, sit back down, continue my work, go grab another coffee. So I make a choice. Let's listen to the radio. The radio began blurting out all kinds of information. It said that a new breed of virus had been discovered, one that would change its victims into a homicidal maniac. This virus was highly contagious and spreading rapidly. Their advice was to stay where I was, and if I were to encounter an infected person, I just should try to destroy their brain.
At this point, I felt myself entering a state of mild shock. It was obvious that whatever was going on was serious, and that a significant percentage of the population were going to be killed or wounded over the course of the next few days. My thoughts quickly turned to my wife. Was she okay? What if these maniacs were near our home?
You can call her.
I dialed the number, but immediately got an error tone. I tried several more times before giving up. I was annoyed with myself for wasting time. I should have known the phones would be overwhelmed. I then decided that I would go home and make sure that my wife was okay.
Why would you go home? I don't want to go home. You should have just stayed there.
I began to make my way through a series of corridors that lead to the elevator. On my way, I noticed a struggle out of the corner of my eye. I turned to see a disfigured man frantically clawing at and biting a young woman's leg. Blood was already pouring from her multiple wounds.
Damn.
The woman cried out for me to help her.
Nah, bitch. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave you to your doom.
I continued down the hallway, ignoring the woman's cries for help. She would have been infected, and it wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah.
I arrived at the elevator, but to my dismay, it seemed many other people had the same idea. I heard a ping, and the elevator doors slid open. In a split second, a large crowd of office staff pushed and shoved their way into the tiny metal box.
Just take the stairs.
I quickly made my way down the stairs to the ground floor.
Don't do that. That's difficult.
I was a little out of breath, but at least I saved time and avoided a potentially lethal situation.
Yeah, I did. Hopefully.
I eventually reached the ground floor and entered the lobby. The scene in front of me was one of extreme violence. The security team was desperately battling with a swarm of infected, and they appeared to be losing. I watched helplessly as a guard on the opposite side of the room was torn limb from limb.
Ow.
I noticed his gun lying on the floor just a few meters away from his dismembered corpse.
Oh. The rear exit's usually the best.
I managed to slip away without any infected noticing, and proceeded quickly towards
At least what
the
I
rear
noticed,
exit.
you know. I'm probably just
I
an
made my way
asshole.
through several corridors towards the back of the building.
Yeah, gotta save yourself,
The rear
you know?
entrance, I spotted a hefty padlock across the bolt, making it practically impossible to open without a key. I cursed my bad luck and tried to figure out my next move. The janitor would have had the key, but reaching his office would have required going back towards the lobby.
Search for a window, bitch.
I realized that breaking the door down would be impossible.
Yeah, it would.
And that
Got a
heading
padlock.
back would be too dangerous. So I set about searching for another exit.
Yep. Okay, that's good.
I remembered that there was a small window in the male bathroom just a few doors down the corridor. I arrived at the bathroom door and pushed it open. Suddenly, I heard a bestial roar coming from further down the corridor. A dozen infected had spotted me and were now heading in my direction.
Am I gonna die?
I entered the stall and spotted the window I was thinking of. However, to my dismay, it was much smaller than I had remembered. I thought that I would probably fit, but I knew it was going to be a very tricky maneuver.
I don't think hiding. Oh, we could try hiding. It works sometimes.
Sat on top of the toilet seat and tried not to make any sound.
Yeah, if you stay quiet.
The zombies had shoved their way into the room. At first it seemed like my plan was working. They spent a few moments stumbling around, not able to find me. However, I didn't know the infected had such a keen sense of smell.
Fuck.
It wasn't long before they realized where I was. It took them a few good minutes to break through the door. Just enough time for me to make my peace with God.
Yeah.
The scream coming from down the hall broke my concentration.
I'll try again. That was a bad idea. Well, I didn't think they could be able to smell, you know.
Secretary overreacting to a spider. Just as I started getting back to work, something else grabbed my attention. I peered out the window into the street below.
Sorry, I was looking at my arm.
Saw a scene of utter chaos. People fighting, even killing each other for seemingly no reason. By this time, some of my coworkers had gotten up from their desks and joined me in staring out the window.
I'll just turn on the radio on my cell phone.
The radio began blurting out all kinds of information.
Like, before, you know.
It said that a new breed of virus had been discovered, one that would change its victims into a homicidal maniac. This virus was highly contagious and spreading rapidly. Their advice was to stay where I was, and that if I were to encounter an infected person, I should try to destroy their brain. At this point, I felt myself entering a state of mild shock.
I would too.
It was obvious that whatever was going on was serious, and that a significant percentage of the population were going to be killed or wounded over the course of the next few days. My thoughts quickly turned to my wife. Was she okay? What if these maniacs were near our home?
Well, if you stay in the office building, you're gonna get eaten. If you try to call your wife, you're just gonna waste time, so just go home.
I knew that the phone lines would most likely be overwhelmed, so I decided not to waste time by calling. I headed straight home.
Yeah, seems good to me.
I began to make my way through a series of corridors that lead to the elevator. On my way, I noticed a struggle out of the corner of my eye. I turned to see a disfigured man frantically clawing at and biting a young woman's leg.
That sucks.
Blood was already pouring from her multiple wounds. The woman cried out for me to help her.
Calling 911 wouldn't do anything. Attacking him would probably see me bitten. It's either try to find someone to help or leave her to her doom, but I guess I'll try to find someone to help.
For somebody to help. But all of my fellow co-workers seemed to be far more interested in saving their own skins. By the time I returned to the office, both the crazed man and the wounded woman had gone. I decided to continue to the elevator.
Okay, well, I tried.
I arrived at the elevator, but to my dismay, it seemed many other people had the same idea. I heard a ping and the elevator doors slid open. In a split second, the large crowd of office staff pushed and shoved their way into the tiny metal box.
Just take the stairs, like, bro.
I quickly made my way down
bro.
to the ground floor.
Better idea.
Sure, I was a little out of breath,
Just need to not
but at least
lock
I
myself in a
saved
bathroom.
time and avoided a potentially lethal situation. I eventually reached the ground floor and entered the lobby. The scene in front of me was one of extreme violence. The security team was desperately battling with a swarm of infected, and they appeared to be losing. I watched helplessly as a guard on the opposite side of the room was torn limb from limb. I noticed his gun lying on the floor just a few meters away from his dismembered corpse.
It's either run across the room, try to get the gun, make a dash for the main exit, or try to live through the rear. Well, the rear didn't help me any, so try to get the gun.
I managed to dodge several zombies, but just as soon as I got close to the gun, I slipped on a pool of blood.
Good job, buddy.
I stumbled directly into the group of infected. I frantically tried to escape their grip, but
Did I die? Okay, one more try. Okay, cell phone. I'm just gonna skip over these again.
At this, I knew that the phone managed to pull.
God, I didn't even. Okay. That was my fault. I didn't even look to see. Okay, leave the woman to her doom. I can't help. Okay, just take the stairs. Okay, just go to the main exit. God, okay, so the back exit is the right choice. Okay, so cell phone. Just go home. Next. Leave the woman to her doom. Just take the stairs. The elevator would have broke. Okay, rear exit. Janitor's office. Let's do that one. God damn it. Forced to stop dead in my tracks. A group around a dozen infected was blocking the corridor ahead. One of them saw me and let out a bestial groan, alerting the entire group of my presence. Without hesitation, I turned tail and fled towards the door. With the infected hot on my heels, I frantically began searching for another exit, but my efforts were in vain. Within a few seconds, I was cornered. Okay, so I will beat this. I love these kind of like choose games. Okay, just leave her. She's fucked. I wish there was like a save point though. You know? Okay, through the rear. Rear. Okay, so charging down the door won't do anything though. So I guess that one again. I guess through the window? Not wanting to waste time, I set about trying to squeeze through the window. A few awkward movements and a lot of pain later, I managed to force my way into the street, escaping the infected with only seconds to spare. I did it! So, okay. I dropped from the window and landed on the pavement with a heavy thud. Looking up and down the quiet street, I've tried to decide what to do next. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that my best bet was to head to a main road and try to steal a vehicle or catch a lift. I jogged down the quiet street for several meters before stopping to catch my breath. I looked briefly and saw a little girl wandering aimlessly in the middle of the road. Let's walk up to her.
I walked up to the girl and tapped her on the shoulder to get her attention. She suddenly spun around, let out a ghastly scream, and vomited blood into my face. Some of it got into my eye. It wasn't long before I contracted the virus and became one of them.
Dang, do I have to start from the beginning? Okay, no, okay. So let's just ignore her. I realized the girl was most likely infected and therefore I decided to ignore her and continue down the street.
I eventually arrived at the main road. As I suspected, the scene wasn't pretty. In every direction I could see people either trying to fight or flee from the numerous infected. An array of dismembered corpses already littered the streets. I suddenly felt nauseous. Within a few moments, I was vomiting my breakfast all over the pavement. I wiped my mouth with my sleeve and looked up to see a bus driving down the street. The number was the same as the one I usually took home. There appeared appeared to be a lot of people on board already, but I thought I might be able to squeeze in.
Should I try to flag it down? I know being in the middle of the street won't help anyone. It's either ignore it and continue or try to flag the bus down. I think I'll ignore it.
I realized that getting on the crowded bus probably wasn't a good idea.
Yeah,
If
it's my
someone
idea.
on board were infected, then there would have been no escape.
Hopefully that was the right choice, yeah.
As
I didn't die.
down the street, I noticed several groups of people. Just across the road was a group of men with rifles. They appeared to be having fun shooting the zombies rather than trying to escape. In the alley, I could just about see a group of teenage boys armed with a variety of makeshift melee weapons. A few meters from where I was standing, a paramedic and an armed police officer were helping a wounded man, and as I glanced over my shoulder, I saw a group of survivors from my office building heading in the same direction. I decided that it was probably best to team up with other survivors.
Rifles, they're probably gonna shoot me. So teenage boys, they'll probably think I'm just an old man. Let's try my coworkers.
I jogged over to the group of my fellow coworkers. They seemed happy to see me.
This group is probably the best choice. None of them are injured, and since they know you, they are much less likely to leave you behind in a sticky situation. Sweet.
I told the group that I thought we should try to find some transportation
Made a good choice.
to get out of the city center. One of them suggested we go to the parking area a few blocks down. We quickly agreed to our strategy and made our way down the street. As we approached the car parking area, we noticed a few infected wandering idly around the entrance. There was no real way to avoid them.
Convince someone to distract them.
Some heated discussion. Somebody from the group eventually stepped up.
Okay, good.
He began making such a noise as he could, running in circles around the infected. My plan worked and they began to follow him away from the entrance. The rest of us swiftly made our way inside and began to search for a suitable vehicle. We were so wrapped
I'm glad I made another good choice.
We forgot about our brave volunteer. We never saw him again.
Oh, that's depressing.
We eventually found a few different options for vehicles in which we could make our escape. On the far side of the parking area, we found a pair of road motorbikes. Closer to us was a four-wheel drive all-terrain Jeep, a large freight truck, and a convertible sports car.
Motorbike's not a good idea. Sports car, that's just dumb. There's like, what, 5 of you? Let's just take the fucking freight truck.
I suggested taking the freight truck.
It's huge, you know?
The others quickly rejected my idea, stating that the truck would be too slow and wouldn't have enough maneuverability. The rest of the group decided that we would take the Jeep.
Fine. You don't want a fucking armored truck, basically?
We approached the Jeep and peered inside. To our dismay, we saw a pair of infected inside.
Yeah, you stupid
desperately clawing at
jackasses.
the windows in an attempt to escape.
Yeah, let's try another vehicle. Like, damn, let's not mess with them.
The others didn't listen. They really wanted that Jeep.
What?
The few zombies weren't going to stand in their way.
My coworkers are stupid.
The others immediately flung open the doors and started trying to drag the zombies out. However, without my help, they were having serious trouble, and it seemed like they would most likely end up dead if I didn't intervene.
Let's just try to help them.
I
It's
stepped
better to
forward
have more people.
inside the Jeep and tried to help pull one of the infected from the vehicle. As I dragged the rotting body onto the tarmac, I felt a sharp pain. I looked down and, to my horror, saw blood pouring from several bite marks in my left forearm. I momentarily exchanged glances with the others before running as far away from them as I could. It wouldn't be long before I became a zombie.
Well, I thought I was supposed to try to have more people. Okay. Ignore. Ignore.
I realized that as I
Join my coworkers, even though they're stupid idiots and want the Jeep.
After some heated...
That's sad we never saw him again, though. I'm still gonna suggest the freight truck.
We approached the Jeep.
I guess it's just another vehicle, but they're gonna be assholes.
The others...
Not try to help them. I'm busy. Leave it to them and to escape one of the motorbikes. No. Yeah, obviously. Escape in the sports car, escape in the freight truck. I really want the freight truck, but yeah, let's do the freight truck. I headed toward the freight truck and didn't look back.
I climbed aboard my chosen vehicle and sped away from the car park onto the main street. By then the roads were littered with bodies and car wreckages.
That's sad.
It was all I could do to avoid them. Everywhere I looked, I could see only scenes of carnage.
Ouch.
It seemed that those not already infected were fighting a losing battle. My thoughts quickly turned to my wife. I tried to tell myself that she would be okay, but that didn't stop the horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. I knew I had to get home as soon as possible. In the distance, I could see a gas station with a few of the zombies on the forecourt. I quickly glanced down at the fuel gauge and saw that I only had about half a tank remaining.
How about you just continue without stopping?
I decided not to.
You have a half fucking tank. How much do you need?
Half a gas tank was more than enough to get home anyway.
That's what I'm saying. No need to risk anything.
Before turning onto the main highway out of town. However, it wasn't long before I noticed a mass of vehicles blocking the road ahead.
Good thing I took the fucking freight truck.
All the honking, shouting, and screaming was deafening. Nobody had kept to their lanes, and cars were packed so closely together that not even a bicycle could squeeze through. The blockage extended so far down the road that it was literally impossible to discern what the cause was.
Off-road.
Realizing that there was no point in waiting.
If this doesn't work, I'm gonna quit. Or make another part, maybe.
At first I made good progress, and as my thoughts turned to my wife, I started driving faster and faster.
That's not a good idea.
As quickly as possible.
What are you doing?
By the time I saw the old tree stump among the crops, it was already too late. When I awoke hours later, I realized how lucky I was to still be alive. My ride was totaled, and I wasn't much better. Several of my bones were broken, and I could barely move, let alone walk. It wasn't long before one of the infected found me, and unable to defend myself, I was slowly eaten alive.
Alright, so I'm gonna make this 2 parts because this is taking forever. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, just keep it going.